Yes, Captain.
That?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay, we're calling to order the Thursday, March 16th, 2017 meeting of the City of Ojai Arts Commission. And we'll start with a roll call, if you would, please, Ms. Young.
Commissioner Tosher? Here. Commissioner Balderman? Here. Commissioner Golden?
Here.
Commissioner Byrne?
Here.
Commissioner Crowner?
Here?
And Vice Chair Harmon? Here. Chair Addison?
Here. All right, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Tosher, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move on to public comment, and I don't see any members of the public here except for Councilmember Blatz, who just joined us. Do you want to speak now or at the end of the meeting? End of the meeting. Okay, fine. Okay, we're going to move through the agenda. The first item on the agenda is the selection of a chair and vice chair for the commission. So I am open to nominations. Commissioner Golden.
Yes, I would like to nominate Michael Addison to continue as our Arts Commission Chair, and I would like to say that even though this would be a third term, and that might or might not always be a correct procedure, I think that Michael is absolutely the best person to continue in this role. I think he's done an incredibly wonderful job and should continue leading us forward at this point. It just makes such sense to me to have him continue. So I nominate Michael.
I appreciate your remarks and accept the nomination. Is there a nomination and a second by Commissioner Byrne? Is there a nomination for vice chair? We have to vote on the first one first? Oh. Okay. The nomination for chair is Michael Addison, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's taken care of. And now nominations are open for vice chair. Bobby?
I would like to nominate Linda Harmon, who has also done an incredible job, to continue in her position as vice chair.
Is there a second? Second for that nomination?
I second.
Okay. Any further nominations?
Did you accept, Linda? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, do I have to accept it? Yes.
Yep, accept the nomination. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I accept. Thank you very much.
okay.
Okay, any further nominations? All in favor?
I think you have to ask for comments. I have comment.
Oh, comments, very well, sorry.
Actually, discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah, I also think Linda has done a phenomenal job, and she chaired a meeting not too long ago, and it was terrific. My comments have to do with Linda's willingness to take on the role of chair, because as City Council said at their last meeting, there probably should be a 3-year term limit on the chair. And, you know, normally the vice chair is the one who would fill into that position. So, Linda, I would hope that you'd be willing to do that, because you're fantastic. But I think we need to know that you're willing to do that.
I think that's asking for a commitment a year in
Well, we're not
advance.
asking for a commitment, but I think there's got to be, if you're absolutely not, a willingness to say, no, I never want to do that.
But it doesn't follow one upon the other, so I think you're imposing a requirement that is not appropriate.
No, it isn't a
That's my
requirement.
comment. Any further comments? Any further discussion? All in
Well,
favor?
then I'm going to make a second nomination. I'm going to nominate Christine Byrne for vice chair.
Can we, so in addition to to be able to make an additional motion, we need to close out the first motion, and then should that one not pass, then we'll take up a second motion.
Thank you.
Oh.
Any
Never
further
did it that way
discussion?
before.
I would just say, I'm not sure if I would like to do it in a year. We'll see. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. All right, all in favor of Linda Harmon as vice chair?
Aye.
Opposed? Very well.
There's one abstention, that would be me.
Oh, okay.
And you
I'm
have to do
sorry.
that by name when you have an abstention.
I didn't
Robert's
realize you were
rules
abstaining. Pardon me.
require
Let's
a
do the
name
vote
by name.
name. Commissioner Toscher,
Yes.
Commissioner Balderman,
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Commissioner Harmon,
I can't vote on my own nomination, can I? Can I?
I think you can, yes.
Yes.
And Commissioner?
I abstain for the reasons
Abstain?
I stated. I'd really
Commissioner
like to
Byrne?
know that there's a willingness there to be chair.
Yes.
And Commissioner Crowner?
Yes.
Okay, then, in this case, Commissioner Harmon is elected, and the elections are complete. We're moving on to the budget, and the budget process, as you know, grinds slowly to the point where I will be submitting a budget to the city council. Remind me when that happens, please, Amber. Is that in May or late April?
We're shooting for late April for
Okay.
those recommendations.
Okay, so
So we
the,
would like to have it, it would need to be finalized by the next,
at the next meeting, yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, you've all been sent a copy of last year's budget, and what I'd like to suggest is that each committee that has a budget line item, such as, for example, the mentor committee or the education committee, that each committee hold a committee hearing between now and our next council meeting, and make the agenda item for that committee meeting going over how your budget has been spent this year and whether you think it needs more or less. It could conceivably be less. But I think, for example, that there's one area that comes to my mind immediately, and that's grants, where we have very strong demand, and the grants serve a very targeted purpose to support the arts here in Ojai. So I would urge the grant committee to take that under consideration. So if each of the committees would complete that at least a week before our next council meeting, and then get your recommendations to me, and on the basis of those recommendations, I will prepare a budget draft for us to discuss, amend, and approve at our April commission meeting. Does that work?
As a point of clarification, are you a week before the next council meeting?
Or
Or
the next, no, I'm sorry, the next commission meeting.
I would request, in order for there to be time for you to be able to draft the proposal and for me to include it in the packet, that it be a little bit earlier than that.
That's fine, sure.
So the next meeting is on the 20th of April. If we could have them by the 10th of April,
Okay.
because then if I put out the packet on Monday, that'll give me enough time to
Great.
give you enough time and me enough time.
That's great. Any questions about this as a process? Okay, then we will go forward in that mode. And use last year's budget as a basis for your thinking. And also, this is the opportunity then, if there are any proposals for new adjuncts to the area that your committee is responsible for. For example, the grant committee, again, has come to my mind because this last time around, we gave, I think, 5 major grants. That was it. Do we want to, in advance, for example, consider saying, okay, 2/3 of our grant budget is for major grants of over X, and the remaining third is for minor grants, not over Y, to try and stimulate different types of grant proposals. So if the grant committee would think of that, and similarly if other committees would give some consideration to whether there should be new programs that we could initiate. So far, given the strong support from the City Council, we've been able to fund several new initiatives over the past couple of years. The architecture book being one, the mentor program being another. And I think if we do go to the council with the proposal for some new initiative, I think we'd get a fair and strong hearing. All right.
Michael, I do have a question about the budget, and this is my ignorance in not knowing how these things work. But, so I'm part of the gallery committee, and we don't have hanging equipment. I think Roger used his own equipment, so I would like to get some equipment that belongs to the city for the Public Arts Commission use to keep here. So do I put the request in, and does the city do a purchase order, or do I go buy it and then get reimbursed?
No.
How does stuff like that work?
The process is that we put together a budget request, which is to some degree line itemed, and that, for example, in the gallery committee might be one of the line items that.
Well, there's still money in the budget from this fiscal
From
year.
this year.
So that's what I'm wondering. How do I,
Well, I can tell you how it was done, because I was
Yeah, please
the
do.
chair of that committee for quite a long time with Roger and
Yes.
Mimi, and got it going the way it is. What Roger did was he purchased what he needed to, and then turned a receipt in
okay,
to Steve, at the time it was Steve McCleary, and then got reimbursed that way.
okay, that's all I need to know.
Does that work, Amber?
Yeah, it does. It's better if you could find something online and send it to me so I can order it. It'll happen a lot faster.
Yes, I love ordering online anyway.
So just send me a link. Just send me a link to what you
Okay.
want, if it fits within
Perfect.
your budget, and it's approved by the Arts Commission to be spending gallery funds on hanging equipment. It's also we'll need to discuss a little bit further about the equipment that was purchased prior and where that equipment currently is, because we need to keep track of city assets.
What do you mean by equipment?
I don't know. You said that something.
Roger designed a very unique method for hanging so that the pictures would be really professionally lined up, but that's his equipment. And the only other equipment was his tools, which he owned. And then he would purchase, there was always bills for lighting because bulbs would burn out, so he would turn in receipts for lighting.
Okay.
And nails and things like that he
My
had.
apologies. I'm envisioning ladders.
He brought all his own equipment.
Sorry. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just thinking of stuff to go in a toolbox that you said we could stick in a closet. That's what I'm
Yeah,
envisioning.
it was
Okay.
his, he had one of those things with a light that went like that, so he could make it go
Laser, yeah.
completely.
Linda?
A laser light.
Yeah, I have a question, though. You mentioned buying it online. I would like to see us purchase city supplies in the city, if we can do that. If it works. Quite frankly, I'd rather support
I think
local
that's good
businesses.
policy. I think if we can find things in town and support local businesses.
I know for hanging, they don't carry ook up here, and ooks don't harm walls.
Yeah. Okay, so when possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion along budget lines? Okay, we'll move on then to committee assignments. You may remember that I passed these out at our last meeting as a preliminary. And so the question is, are there any questions or concerns about the committee assignments? Stuart?
Yes, I'm looking at the copy you sent me, and I'm wondering who is there a chair for each of these?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the first name in each committee, yeah, yeah,
Well, I don't have it.
Yes.
That's good, okay.
yeah.
And I just want to say that there's a section in your binder, if you haven't got one yet, we're working on retrieving them, but there's a section in your binder for you to slip in the one that was just passed out. It's even got 3-hole punch on it, which you don't need because there's a plastic liner.
Where do I get a binder?
Amber is working on that.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, I
Yes.
would entertain a motion to approve the committee assignments.
I second.
Oh,
A
I'll
motion
move.
first, motion,
I'll move.
okay, and a
is
second from
2017.
Christine. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're on then. Okay, the Artist Mentor Program. We're ready to kick into gear with that. The Mentor Committee met, and Ms. Balderman will report.
Okay, we are very fortunate to have received some wonderful applications to be mentors. And
Sorry.
That's the approval. Anyway, and so we have 5 who cover diverse areas, and I will go over each one, and then I suppose we have to vote individually on them. The first one is David Baker, who is a photographer. And, I don't have the details of what particularly he's going to do in front of us. I apologize. Do we need that?
Really, he's going to, each of them will be working with the student on a project related to their discipline,
Oh, okay.
according to what the artist feels would be best for the student. And that's the
Okay.
only criteria that we give the artist.
All right. So I
It's
need,
not prescriptive.
I need a motion to approve David Baker as mentor. And I need a second.
Second.
Okay, so you call for the vote.
Any discussion?
So somebody said they weren't sure what he did, and he does say here, the student will shoot alongside me on some of my assignments, such as summer jamming concerts at the Ojai Art Center, and they'll learn to deal with strangers when working a shoot, which I think is great.
Great,
Yeah,
to get
good.
permission.
So they do talk about it.
Yeah, on their application
let me
form, which
get-
you all got copies of, they do
Oops.
say that.
Okay. Let me get down to the next one. Oh, we didn't vote yet.
I have a question.
Yes,
How many applicants were there?
there were 7 applicants this year. We chose not to offer mentorships to 2 artists, one of whom was in the same area as one of the artists, and the other is essentially brand new in town and also in the same area as one of the artists that we're more familiar with.
Okay. Is that typical? To get about 7
Yeah.
applicants every year?
Sometimes we get more than that, sometimes we get 10 or 12. I think we had more last year, actually, than we did this year.
Thank you.
Okay, so did we vote? We-
Yeah,
And
okay. we
As
need-
long as we're asking general questions like that, we've never had to approve each artist before. I'm just wondering why that came up to have to do it that way this time. Is that a new city procedure?
It is a new city procedure, as each artist is receiving funds from the Arts,
Okay.
from the Arts Commission's budget. It's important for us to have a record that the Arts Commission has approved the
Each one,
expenditure of
Okay.
those funds for that artist.
Okay. Thank you, Amber.
Yeah, it does.
So the vote.
Okay, we can move on to the next
We
one.
can vote.
Oh, yes, we need to vote, sorry. Okay, all in favor of David Baker?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next.
Okay, next is John Medeiros. He is in the area of theater, and he wants to develop with the student a one-person show. We thought he was a nice addition, somebody new to add to our mix, and he's young, which is nice, relates to the kids. So,
He also teaches an improv class here in Ojai and has something of a following. And I think it's important in the, and he's also been active in the Ojai Arts Center Theater. So the name will have some immediate recognition amongst young people who might be interested in the theater. I've already contacted John Hoy at the high school at Nordhoff, for example, to tell him about this possibility. So
okay.
we will reach out. Okay, any further discussion of John Medeiros? A motion to approve John Medeiros?
I so move.
Second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the
Okay.
third one is Stephen D. Edwards, and he is a glass artist and does some very unique, beautiful work. And again, to work with the student and teach them how to work in various mediums of glass and different ways of using glass and glass sculpture. So
Also an experienced teacher and a very highly regarded teacher.
Yeah, had quite
so-
an impressive resume.
Yeah, super.
This is a big
resume.
deal, this guy.
Yeah,
And he looks great.
yeah. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
in high school and could take it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
This will be in the
about
OBN tomorrow.
John? Stephen, rather? Okay, is there a motion to approve Stephen Edwards?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Just as a point of clarification, who made the motion? Commissioner Harmon and Commissioner Golden second.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on to Vera Long.
Okay, next is Vera Long, as Michael said, and you may all know of Vera's work. She's been a mentor for us before. However, we're going to do something a little unique this year. We've asked Vera, instead of doing just straight painting or, drawing or whatever she does, she also has a background in working in the film industry, creating backdrops and and being involved with multimedia presentations and productions. We thought it might be kind of a neat thing for the student to learn kind of a new angle of how is art used, and what are some of those areas that you can expand your use of painting. And so this is, actually, I wish I could apply for this. But so we know that Vera is very bright and very experienced. She has a very impressive resume. Of course, I'm being prejudiced, so I'm not supposed to do that. So,
No, you're not being prejudiced, that's a fact.
but that's Vera.
She does ceramics too, doesn't she?
I'm
I don't
not
think so.
sure that she does. I don't believe so.
No.
But she does do multimedia work, and I think that's an area, again, because so many kids currently are tuned into the video world.
Oh, boy.
I think this will, again, be an attractive opportunity for some student who has those interests. Any further questions, comments? Marcy?
Would there be anything that would prohibit the student and the mentor of Vera Long from working with John Medeiros and the one-person play?
That's a terrific idea.
For the Vera Long, they could coordinate, create the backdrop for the production.
Yeah.
Is it okay for us to suggest that? or-
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
I thought that might be kind of
I
cool.
think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, great idea. Okay, any further thoughts about Vera? Okay, is there a motion to approve Vera?
I move that we approve Vera Long as a mentor.
And second?
I'll second.
Second, okay.
Okay, Stuart Crowner seconds.
Who is that woman over there?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And one last nominee.
The last nominee is Amy Lynn Stevenson, and I was looking, and I don't see that we have her.
We have lost her resume. She was
Oh.
the first one to apply, and it's disappeared in the ether somewhere.
Because-
Amber's looked for it, I've looked for it.
Our IT magician is currently working to track it down from the bowels of cyberspace.
I hope that we can get it once you have it, because these resumes and the way that whoever did this, knit together what information would be helpful to look at is so outstanding. Did you do that, Bobby? Because that's really outstanding. It's so crystal. Did you do that, Michael?
Standard application form, yeah.
It's really outstanding.
Yeah, but we will circulate Amy's once we find it.
So
Amy Lynn?
I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember what Amy.
Yeah. I'd love to see it.
You do? Oh, good, okay. We'll circulate it then.
Okay.
Isn't she
Great.
the artist that has, I'm sure she does other things, but she does those things at the ranch house, paint and drink wine?
Yes.
And she also has
Oh,
illustrated.
do they
She's
do
an
that at the
illustrator,
ranch
I think,
house?
more than a painter. She's an illustrator. And she's done some children's books, too.
Oh,
A series of 6, I think.
Yeah,
And
she recently published another children's
Yeah.
book.
Kids are going to like her, I think.
Yeah, and again, she does things in the public, art classes at the Ranch House. I think she's done art classes at the Vita Art Center and Bell Arts Factory down in Ventura, too. So, again, she circulates so that people know her, and I think she'll be attractive. She's also had her work on display at
The Vine.
various local businesses, The Vine and
As of
other
now.
places, yeah.
She's taught at OVA also.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's also, a really nice, I know this sounds funny, but a nice person. She is so excited about her art that I know she would be great with the kids.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure, for sure. Any further thoughts, comments, questions? Is there a motion then
I
to?
guess I could move it.
You
Yeah.
certainly can.
I move that we nominate, or we approve Amy Lynn Stevenson to participate as a mentor, 2017.
And Stuart seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, well, bravo, so we're moving forward. Yes,
I apologize. As a point of clarification, the commission did approve all of the mentors last year at the beginning of the program, and the program last year was not quite as clean as it has been in the past administratively. And so this year I made not a policy decision, but a staff decision that we wanted to put it forward as cleanly and clearly as possible. And so I thought the best way to do that would be to break out in each individual mentor. So it's not, perhaps might not be necessary in the future. For this year, as we're regrouping this program, I thought it'd be a good idea.
I think it's a very good process because it led to us to discuss the mentors. And remember, this is going on the tube, and people do actually watch these meetings on the tube, so it's good that our vast TV audience can also know
It
the
might
direction we're
be
going in.
vaster than you think.
Yeah.
I love it.
We've already met with a couple of the mentors. I'm going to meet with the others next week, and what I'm explaining to them is, first of all, the nature of their stipend, that it's $750 as an honorarium. But we're making a change this year. In the past, we've said, okay, at the beginning you get $250 for your supplies, etc., out of the $750. This year, I'm telling the mentors that if you need some money at the beginning, let us know. And that'll just make it cleaner. And I'm hoping that none of them will say, yeah, I'd like $100 at the beginning. If they do, we'll deal with it. But again, to just make it cleaner. I'm also asking them to either meet with me or to report in writing at the end of each month that they're working with the students, so that we stay in touch with what's going on. And I think that may lead to some visits to their studios and things of that order, so that we really can avoid the mix-ups that happened last summer.
I'd like to make an administrative suggestion with
Please.
regards to the program. Perhaps we could provide the mentors with a standardized form for them to fill out with regards to their participation and their mentees' participation in the program. Something very simple: number of hours together, the nature of their work, what they set out to do, and then what actually happened.
At the end.
At the end, for them, not necessarily as they go along, so that we have a collective record
Yeah.
of the hours spent, what the intention was, and what their final outcome was, and perhaps to have the mentee fill out something similar
Yes,
as well.
Okay,
I was
so-
going to add that. That's part of the
Yeah,
deal.
if-
I've told the mentors that there'll be a written report at the end, and we're going to ask the students for the same thing. Yes, Christine?
And who's the chair of this committee now? Bobby?
Bobby is the
Bobby, I
chair.
still have all those forms, because those were all forms that we used in the past when I was chair of the committee, created all those forms I can send to you. So you can take a look at them and you can revise them and whatever. We also, and I don't know if this is still in place, but all the students were required to keep a diary. Is that still in place?
I don't believe so. I don't think we've done that for a couple of years.
We asked that they would keep a diary of when they, after they worked with the artists, that they would write down their thoughts and their feelings and what happened and what they
That's a
learned.
good idea.
And that they would actually bring that. We always had the big deal thingy in November, and they would bring that with them in addition to their work being displayed.
I love that idea because it adds another dimension to the project that you don't ordinarily get. I mean, you see the finished project and you might meet the people, but yeah, that
That's a
would
good
be
idea.
really neat.
Bobby?
I just wanted to comment that we're not going to probably do the reception in November, but instead do it at the end of the summer, because what we dealt with in the past is seniors who disappeared on us, went off to college or wherever they're going, and so they missed the reception, and that's how we kind of got into a funk this year. So by having it a little bit earlier, hopefully we can beat that dispersion of people into the ethos.
When the committee's established the date for that, will you let me know so I
Of
can add it
course.
to the master calendar?
Of course. What I also want to do is to raise this as an idea, and the idea was that to get a little more visibility for that event, to see if the museum would be willing to host it. Now that we have that relationship with the museum, that could be a really nice late Sunday afternoon event like their town talks. Thoughts on that?
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea.
I do want to I don't mean to throw a wrench into this, but a lot of colleges, believe it or not, actually go back to school the beginning of August. So are we going to be able to squeeze this in?
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
I think there may be some cases where
Yeah,
the student
but I
either has to
think-
come home for the weekend. Again, I think doing it on a Sunday is another reason to perhaps get students back in if they're up at UC Santa Barbara or someplace like that
The other thing that
in
that
September.
I would like as the publicity chair is I would really like it when you do talk to the mentors that that we would like to be notified when they are with the students, because I'd like to go out there and document
Great.
some of what's going on for our website, for press releases, for everything.
Great idea.
I'd like to do a story on each of the
Yes.
the pairings and for the OVN and other places.
Yes.
It's a great idea, yeah.
So we need to let them know that we do need to
Yep,
butt in.
yep, yep.
Well, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Probably for Bobby. I happened to run into an artist yesterday who wanted to know why or how we are notifying artists that there is a mentor program. He would have liked to have participated and applied. And I said, oh, we're working on all of that. So how are we putting this out to artists?
Well, I think this year, because I was concerned that we not run into the problems we had last summer, I sort of short-circuited that. We circulated the information through OSA, first of all. Susan Stainsmuller-Amond actually took it upon herself to circulate that. And then it was word of mouth, and we contacted artists and asked them.
So we didn't do an article in the paper.
Didn't really do an article in the paper or a public call for applicants this
Will
year.
we do that next?
We must do
Okay.
it in the future, obviously.
Great, that's what I
You know, we're
said.
trying to get it back on track, I guess
That's
is the
exactly what I
fact.
said, too.
And I think in the future, we will want to, probably in February, early February, put out an announcement or January even, of the call for artists to apply. Stuart?
Because I'm new here and Marcy is too, could you explain why this was a train wreck last year, or, I don't really know,
Well, there
other
were-
than this September?
There were some personnel issues that came into play,
Oh.
and so as a result, I can't talk about it in public.
Oh, okay.
May I?
Yes,
And
Bobby.
I just want to kind of add one more comment on the report for the committee, and that is that I want to thank Stuart, who wrote a wonderful article and submitted it to the paper about the mentor program and the mentors we chose. And Christine, you're in charge of PR, am I right? And so I did comment to Stuart that in the future, perhaps, he's on that committee anyway, so it worked out fine, but that we've channeled all PR through the PR committee, and we're aware of that and the importance of that. And that way, we're not each going off our own direction
Yeah.
doing PR. So I want to thank Stuart for what he did. And of course, he had no idea that we had that in place. So, so luckily he did a great job.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, we just sort of jumped the gun on this one, or jumped the shark, isn't that the expression? Anyway, it won't happen again.
So I would write something, I give it to Christine, and then,
And then does it
about that in our.
in your committee meeting?
okay.
All right, good. Okay, all right, we can move on, I think. The awards committee.
Why am I listed?
You shouldn't be, that should be me, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the chair of the awards committee.
On the, it lists her on the committee assignments sheet. Do you want that changed?
I'm not the chair, though.
It says the first name listed after each committee is the chair, and you're on awards, you're the first one listed. I thought it was odd myself, but
It
Was-
is,
okay. Oh,
We'll
so
change
correct.
it,
Okay,
yeah.
lovely.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Surprise! Okay, but I'm not.
So I'll need to redo your roster sheets as
Okay.
well then.
Well, can't we just cross it
Who is chair then?
I am,
Oh, you're not chair, Linda? That's wrong.
off? I'm not chair
Right.
of the awards.
Oh.
Michael.
I am chair of the awards committee.
We're just in the wrong order.
Yeah, that's.
My
all.
apologies for the
That's okay.
confusion.
You don't have to redo it, we can just.
Okay. The awards committee met, and the task is to review the lists that you've all seen of possible awardees for the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I'd like to read the criteria that have been approved in the past. This was, in fact, developed in 1990, so it's got a reasonable lengthy life already. The criteria are: the artist must have proven continuous artistic excellence, must have demonstrated community involvement within the Ojai Valley, shall have established recognition within their field, must be a resident within close proximity of the Ojai Valley, which is to say the larger Ojai Valley could include Miners Oaks and so on. So those are the 4 criteria. And reviewing suggestions that came to us from some commission members and going over the list, we came up with 3 people that we would like to nominate for your consideration. And the plan is that we discuss them this evening, and then you have time to think and do any investigation you want to do between now and our next meeting. And that in our next meeting, we will vote and choose who the awardee is. Okay? And that's pretty much our standard process. So, the 3 nominees. Roger Conrad, number 1, recently, to our great regret, left the commission after 9 years of service on the commission. He's also, as you I think all know, worked extensively with the museum. Has a professional career as a photographer and as an artist. He was at one point on the photography faculty at the California Institute of the Arts. So he does have that high caliber of recognition that's required, and certainly has made a major contribution here in Ojai through his work with the commission and with the museum and the Arts Center, where he's been head of the photo branch at one point. The second nominee that we have is Marty Babeko. And Marty is a former high school principal, has a long-time contribution as a member of the Ojai community in education, but has also been involved in the arts as director of production after production after production at the high school. Most recently, the production of Grease, which I think closed last weekend, or is it one more weekend? I saw it last weekend, and it's terrific. Just the talent of the kids is remarkable in itself, but it's astonishing to me that Marty is able to take kids, many of whom have never been on stage before, and create a show that has form and content and style and pizzazz, and has, I think, given them an experience of what it really is to work in the theater. So those are the first 2 nominees, and the third is Karen Lewis, who is, I think, one of the leading artists in our community, I think one could say. She's a primary member, and was she one of the founders of OSA? She wasn't one of the founders, but an early member, and certainly has been a leader and involved civically through her work with OSA. So those are the 3 nominees that we can discuss now if there are any questions or comments, and then give it some thought over the course of the coming 4 weeks. And we will we'll choose one of those nominees next month. It's always hard, and it's a little embarrassing to be doing it in public, but being a public agency, we must. So that's the way it is. Christine?
I would like to say Karen Lewis also has such a interesting life. I don't know how many of you know, but she lived in the Philippines when she was young and ended up being a prisoner of war by the Japanese. So, and from a young age, and it was, I think, about 5 years.
Yeah.
So she's just her vivaciousness and her outlook and the amount that she gives to the community is just an inspiration for us all, actually.
Well said. Any other comments or questions or thoughts?
I think it's a really
Stuart?
great list and a variety of arts, not just all painters and.
Well, we try, and one of the things we take into account, who has received the award in recent years, and you have that information. Jimmy Caleri was last year, Donna Granata recently in photography. I'm not remembering who the others were in the past couple of years. Khaled Anwar, and Kim Maxwell. So it's variety is really a very important. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the great realities of the arts in the Ojai Valley is that there are incredible artists in all of these disciplines.
And artists that have given a lot to the community.
Yes.
And that's
yes.
really important.
Yeah, and that's very important.
So as I'm looking at that list, we had, in the last 5 years, we've had an architect, a photographer, a drama person, a two-dimensional artist, a supporter of the arts, and a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what,
Lot
we
of
might want to
variety.
keep that in mind when we're
Sure.
looking at these
Oh,
three.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there something missing from that list, or did we cover everything?
In what, in,
In terms of an area of art?
Oh, we had more names, we just narrowed it down. Is that what
you-
I
No.
still don't understand your question.
Well, am I skipping anything in this array? Architect, photographer, drama, two-dimensional art, supporter of the arts, and musician. Is there another area that is not?
composer.
Or a sculptor. That's got a musician, though, yeah. So I think that we're in good
Yeah,
stead.
yeah. All right, my friends, we'll move on. And we come now to the Public Art Committee. Ms. Golden, if you would, please.
Yes, I would, please. Well, the first thing is the Becker Project. The Becker Project, some of you may be familiar with that. It's called Cottages Among the Flowers, that particular site. And I had the pleasure of meeting with, oh, wow, watch that happen to me. Cindy Frings, who Mr. Becker has employed or asked to be the art consultant for the public art phase of the project. And we had a wonderful meeting, and she brought the artist along with her, which was kind of a surprise, but nice. And so we went through the handbook, the developer's handbook, so that she could ask questions about the list of items that she needs to have prepared and to bring before the committee to approve public art. And I'd like to segue with your patience, because we have new members on the commission, so that they know what that is. And the committee, CAPA, it's called, to approve public arts, is an arm of the Arts Commission. And 3 members of the Arts Commission sit on that committee, and those are the members of the Public Art Committee, which is myself, Michael, and now Marcy, are the 3 members of that committee. Now, it's not always the committee to approve public art that approves the project. Sometimes a public art jury is called. It depends. When a public art jury is called, there are 7 members, and there's only 1 Art Commission member. But for developers' projects, we call the committee to approve public art. So when I'm referring to that, that's what I'm talking about, for those of you that are brand new here to us. So we will now wait for Becker's art consultant to be ready with all the ducks in a row. If they ask, Amber and I are willing to meet with her and see that she actually has everything in order. We don't make any kind of indication of whether we think it's good or bad. Just, yeah, no, this is missing. No, you didn't do the maintenance plan, whatever. And then a CAPA meeting will be called. CAPA, which is made up, as I said, of 3 Arts Commissioner members. There's also a person from the public at large who is a public art expert. We have 3 people that we can call upon for this project: Barbara Hirsch, Susan Stinsmulen-Amen, and Pamela Grau. We don't know which one we'll call at this point. It all depends on other factors. And there's also a member of the Planning Commission that sits on the CAPA. The 5 of us will listen and review and make a recommendation back to all 7 of us here. The final approval comes here. It doesn't go to City Council. It really stops here. You guys get to listen to what we learned. We invite the artist to come and the consultant to come, so you get the full presentation. And you may vote with us, you may not. It's really your separate decision to make, and then that recommendation is what moves the project forward or sends it back to the drawing board. So any questions about how that works? Because you're going to be involved in that, I think, fairly soon. They're ready to go. Okay? If you do, you can always, I'm always happy to meet with you and talk to you more about it. In fact, try to stop me. So,
Oh, the truth.
oh, and I'm not embarrassed to say that at all. So that's the Becker project, and I won't tell you what Martha has in mind. I think I'd rather wait until that all.
You didn't say it was Martha yet.
Oh, what the artist has in mind.
Oh, I know.
Public Art Fund budget detail. Amber, if it's okay with you, I'd like to just hold on to those. There's a lot of questions about that I have, so rather than pass them out, why don't you and I get together on that? Okay. Update on Museum Arch. We really do not have a direction from City Council as to whether or not CAPA, again, the Committee to Approve Public Art, should be taking a look at the Museum Arch. And it really is up to the City Council at this point in time to agendize that and to give direction, if that's what they want to do, to the Arts Commission, to the Arts Commission leg, CAPA, to look at the Museum Arch. It's up to them, because they obviously will be getting a report from the Historical Preservation Committee, and I don't know, they may also be receiving a report from the Museum Board. So if they ask us to do that, we'll do that, but we can't do that without direction from City Council. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, Linda, because I thought I heard you.
I thought it was the Trimpan Arch you were talking about. It's a gate.
No, it's the museum. What does it say, Arch? It says Museum Arch. It should say Museum Gate. Okay. Update on Topa Mountain Winery. I don't know, Michael, have you had a chance to drive in there?
I haven't had a chance to go by there. The question is whether or not they are maintaining the fountain, which was their public art contribution. Two issues. One, it's been splashing, so they turned off the fountain. And what they should do is get a smaller motor. And they also need to keep it full or put it on a timer. But somehow or other, we have to get them to do that. So I just haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true on the next item, the plaques. We had a meeting of the Public Art Committee the other day, and I will now get together with those people who are involved in plaques for I think there are 4 public art projects that
Yeah,
still need
there, for
plaques.
some reason, the plaque is missing on the Matilla Hapapi Fountain. We don't know why. We think that originally there was a plaque there, but that's missing. Yeah, Linda
So
thinks so.
someone's ripped it off.
Yeah, and then we need the 2 plaques, one that acknowledges that we received funding from the Pearl Street Craftsman Village project that really allowed that project to go forward. So we need to recognize that developer on a plaque, and then, of course, the plaque that shows that it's Doug Lochner's work and the title of the piece. So those are 2 plaques. And what's the other one? Topa Mountain.
Yes,
the
Topa Mountain is the other one.
Winery. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't know if they can hear you, Linda.
My understanding was Roger was researching all that, and he had done some work about it.
Well, maybe, Michael, you want
I'll
to
contact him
try
and
to
see.
contact Roger and see.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you talk to him about it?
Because that really was given off to Michael to handle plaques, so I'm not so sure. Yeah.
Last week.
Public Art Archives. Marcy is going to head up working with Linda to see whether or not we should be coordinating records of the public art we have all around the city, along with the pieces that are two-dimensional that Linda's working with museum software. Don't know yet whether that's the right way to approach it, but that's what we're working on. So eventually, we want to have really good records of what it is the city owns, how to maintain it, what the contract was, archival photography of each piece, all of that information in one place that we can refer to if needed. Because as you all know, or maybe you don't all know, there are pieces that have come to our attention, for example, Reflections of Ojai, where that information, to be able to go right to it, would be really, really helpful. So we have a job, or Marcy has a job. G, public art tour for the Commission, Museum Board, and City Council. I am going to offer to give a tour of one of the zones of public art for all of you, because there's so many of you that are new and really don't know what the public art is in the city. So you're all invited, and I'm going to invite all the city council members as well. I'm going to invite the museum board, and I'm going to invite Wendy Barker, and I'm going to invite the docents from the museum. So it could be a really nice big group, or it could be a little group because it's voluntary. And one of the zones would include Rotary Park, Clough Vista Park, Bella Plaza, and depending on what happens with the museum arches, or rather gates, the museum gates. Right. Another area is in the middle of town, which is Libby Park and the Pergola, the Arcade Plaza, the skate park, and Bryant Street. And then maybe a standalone area is Ojai Valley Inn and Spa. There's a lot of public art at Ojai Valley Inn and Spa. And of course, since that one wouldn't be quite as lengthy, it just cries out that we all end our meeting at the Neff Lounge. So that may encourage some of you to sign up to come.
Yes.
So I'm going to be putting that together. It won't probably be ready for at least a month or two because I want to actually do the tour myself, but hopefully quickly enough that the weather won't turn too hot because it does get pretty hot out there. So look forward to that, and I hope you all want to come.
Good idea.
I think you should open it to the public if they want to come.
Well, yes, we could open it to the public. We'll talk about that. I may need to be, wired up to a microphone. I have actually given public art tours in the city of Chicago, in the Chicago Loop. I used to give a public art tour. And it would go over through the lunchtime, and all the workers that would come out of the buildings would start following. It was me and my classroom of fifth graders. And they'd all start following us around because they couldn't believe what they were hearing about the Rookery and all these different incredible buildings in the Chicago Loop and sculptures, because we did the homework and we had all the information. It was really, I loved doing it. And the last part is Amber. Reports on projects subject to the
So we
Art
don't
requirements.
have anything.
What did I do?
We don't have anything clearly in the pipeline. There are projects that are in the design review process, the bowling alley among them, the Boku project out at the Ford dealership, possibly. There's nothing that's really like sitting right on the cusp that's brand new.
Other than flowers among the cottages?
Right, but that's
Yeah.
not new. That's been sitting there.
Yeah, it has. All right. So can I ask you a couple questions? I'm trying to find that darn sheet.
Oh, I hope I can answer.
There's simple questions. I'm sure you can. They're just so that I
For a
know.
quick question before you start, because you're probably more
Yeah, go
involved.
ahead, Linda, while I
When you
find
say
this.
there's nothing in the pipeline, do you mean there's no applications in?
Correct.
Okay.
So when something's in design review, it's pre-permit. So they're not seeking any permits. They're kind of feeling it out to see how it's going to be received and whether or not it even complies.
Okay. So that is a great segue into my first question, which has to do with the bowling alley property, because there was quite a hubbub about people going to the planning commission meeting, which I believe was last night, about the proposal for the brewery and the whatever. So at that stage, that art process has not kicked in. I know I've talked to Mark on several occasions, and he knows there's going to be an art requirement. But just so I understand, that precedes them working on an art requirement. In other words, the planning commission is not looking or asking to see where the art might go.
Correct.
Okay.
Because at that stage, it's concept. It's not actual
It's
plans.
concept. Gotcha. Is that project on this sheet?
It's not as of yet.
Okay. Should it be?
I need to talk to the community development department about what stage in the process triggers addition to this list.
That would be great.
I know they actively work on it when things are moving through the process. They, as you can see, they take pretty deep. They take really good notes and whatnot. And I was talking to the director of the community development department about how this list is just built in to the part of their process when applications are moving through. So I'll find out from her at what
Thank
point.
you. Now, 334 East Ojai Avenue, can you give me some idea where that is?
I can if you give me a moment with Google.
334 East Ojai, remodel of existing commercial building with additional outdoor patio. Do you know where it is?
Is that the old St. Anne's Thrift
I think it is.
building?
The one in the
St. Anne's Thrift Store, the end of the arcade.
No, that wouldn't be
It wouldn't be 334.
No, it'd
No.
have to be down the block.
She is correct. That is the location of the old St. Thomas Aquinas thrift store.
Oh, okay.
That building was purchased quite some time ago, and they're looking to do a remodel and to swap the lawn area with the walkway so that the walkway would be next to Bonnie Lou's
Gotcha.
to allow for an outdoor patio.
Oh, gotcha.
Cool.
Okay. Then the next one is the 111 North Blanche Street. Because Blanche?
That's where the scene shop is.
That's,
Yeah.
okay, so that's Ojai Printing.
The Ojai Printing.
The next one that I wasn't sure where it is 601 Pearl Street. Is that close to what's happening right now with Craftsman Village? You know, there's all kinds of construction over there, and I think that's Craftsman Village on Pearl Street.
The Craftsman Village is 611 Pearl, and this is 601.
So it is close.
So it's close by, but
Okay.
possibly not adjacent.
Do you know who the architect is for that one, or the developer?
I don't.
You don't, okay. Just asking, it's okay if you don't know. And I think those were the only three that I had questions about, so thank you. All right. And again, for those of you that are new, it's really important that we all know where these possible places where public art is required, it's covered by the ordinance to be installed, because you're along, I'm not the only eyes and ears, you guys too. And sometimes that's the way things have happened, is because we've seen something going on. So we can help city by keeping abreast of what's going on out there, you know. Okay, thank you, Amber, very much, appreciate it. Any questions from anybody?
Okay, thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
This is a huge area of our activity, and thank heavens that Christine has taken on the,
Anal.
well, whatever the motive is, thank heavens you're doing it, because it's a lot of work and a lot of detail, and you do a magnificent job. So we're going to move on now to the Art Acquisitions Committee, and this, again, for those who are new, is a very important part of what we do as a commission. It's recognized and funded by the council that Ojai does indeed have extraordinary artists, and that it's to the city's benefit to keep examples of that work for posterity, if you will, but also for the public now. And that has been really brought more into focus now that we have this liaison with the museum, where there will be a permanent display space, where there will always be something from the city collection on display. And they have said that every year or so there'll be a special exhibit of the city collection. So that, coupled with the gallery that we have, such as it is in this building, makes acquisitions a very important part of what we do. So, Ms. Harmon, if you would, please.
Hello. I'm very happy to say that our committee, which includes Bobby and Christine Byrne, we met and went by the Almonds, and we found two pieces by Richard that we were able to purchase that are just beautiful pieces. They're both canvas, and they kind of represent both sides of his career, because before he moved to Ojai many years ago, he was very active, and even when he was in Ojai for a while, he worked in Hollywood in the industry, and a production designer, and so it represents his more soft side, I guess, and the more industrial side. So we have one painting that's they're both studies of light, which are is a big issue for Richard. They're gorgeous gorgeous paintings. One's called Mandelier, which is a beautiful, it's actually on our website already. Before we owned it, we had a picture of it, and he let us use it. And it's a beautiful, it's all in golds and blacks and browns and earth tones with spots of light, white for light. And it's a huge chandelier. It's just gorgeous. And it's semi-realistic, but it's very impressionistic also. And I wish we had them here, but we don't. And then
They are included in the packet.
they're included in the packet.
Yeah.
Because we haven't purchased them yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've always brought them to show everyone before we've,
Well, we didn't do that this time, so,
it'd be nice to be able to see.
yeah. And then the second one is View from a Mission. View from Mission, which is taken from the Mission Street, and he was working on a set, apparently, a project set, and he looked out the window, and this is the view of him looking through the window outside to LA, and it's just a beautiful, it's very graphic, has a dark background, and the light is coming through the window, and the window was a little dirty, so it reflected. It's just a very interesting painting, and I do wish we had him here, but we don't, because we haven't purchased them yet. And then while we were there, we looked around the studios. We had talked before. We were lucky enough to have purchased a Susan Almond. Was it last year or the year before? And when we were there, their son Wyatt, who is also an artist, they're all three artists, is working with ceramics. And since we had a little bit of money left over, we were looking through some of the things, and he was very generous in helping us purchase, gave us a good price to be able to purchase two of his pieces. One is called Propulsion Drone, which sounds real strange, but it's a beautifully worked ceramic piece with some luster and some, yes, no, that's the goblet. There's two pieces. Oh, you haven't printed out so you can see them. That's it. That's the drone.
So I don't know if the public can see that or not.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we always brought them.
I printed mine
Public could see them.
Well, anyway, this
Here we
one,
go.
it sits on, it's sort of on a cocked angle. It's very beautiful. You can't see it in the picture, but this is all grill work here, so it's all 3D, and there's luster glaze on it, and then you can see inside. That's Wyatt's.
This is Wyatt, yeah.
And then the other one is the Beto goblet, and
That's by Wyatt, not Richard.
Wyatt, yeah.
Yeah, that,
And he had an internship up at Beatrice Wood Studio,
Yeah.
and these are one of the pieces he made with her glazes. So it's just gorgeous. It doesn't show up as much in that. And we've already talked to the museum about displaying the pieces, and they're purchasing.
And which one is this, Linda, as long as I have the.
Oh,
color
you have the
pictures?
pic. Okay,
Yeah.
this is is it chandelier? Is that what it's called? Mandelier.
Mandelier.
Chandelier. Mandelier.
It's amazing.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful? It's really gorgeous.
And then this one is the one you were talking
Yes,
about.
where you see through the window.
Here's an extra one if anybody wants to see it.
And they're just, and next to each other, they.
Yeah, and they're the same
Okay.
size, so they'll look fantastic
Gorgeous.
put on display together. The colors work, and it's just like urban and country, sort of. It's really amazing.
Nice.
Linda, where in the museum will be our space, or will it
Well,
float?
Before, for our joint show last, when we debuted the program, it was mingled all over in the whole museum art wing. And now these pieces will be, as you come in the entryway of the front of the museum, there's like 3 walls. And our things will be there.
Wow.
And we talked about having other shows throughout the, and over the next period of time, so we can pull more pieces out. And then as we have acquisitions, we can do that. And right now, we have a really beautiful show here of the museum and our collection mingled here. So we've got some of the museum pieces here. It's kind of a back and forth thing. And
nice.
and then we do it all on the computer so that we know, and with signed release so that we know where everything is.
It's beautiful.
yes, Bobby?
I just wanted to add that it's become obvious now that we have something by Susan, Richard, and Wyatt. The goal there was that we had this aha moment when we were standing there of how wonderful it would be to have representation from the entire family. And so, with this little bit of money we had left, we kind of looked around and said, aha, we can add something that Wyatt's done. So it was kind of neat that we were able to pull that together.
And also Wyatt's work is already being collected, so I'm glad we're getting it now, because I think.
I have that
Go
goblet.
up,
Yeah.
yeah. He's had a joint show, they had a joint show at Channel Islands at the university. How long ago has that been now? 3 or 4 months ago, maybe? Making Almonds, it was
remember.
called. It was
Yeah.
a beautiful show.
Wasn't that in Camarillo? That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Camarillo,
Channel Islands, yeah. University there. Anyway, that's what we have in mind to purchase, and that would take care of our budget that we need to take care of before the next deadline, so.
Okay. Can we do this in one motion?
Does the rest of the commission feel comfortable with that? Then yes, please proceed.
Okay, then I would move that we approve the purchase of Mandelier by Richard Amond and View from Mission by Richard Amond, Propulsion Drone 16 by Wyatt Amond, and Beto Gobleto by Wyatt Amond.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Bravo, good choices. Yeah.
Great
yeah.
choice. Great choice.
Yeah, great shopping. Yeah, right. Okay, rich, meaty stuff, good stuff. Public relations, Ms. Byrne, what can you tell us?
Well, I was actually wondering if I could skip ahead to City Gallery Committee because
Please
it kind
do.
of has something to do with the acquisition
Go
committee.
right ahead.
So, for the City Gallery Committee, we also, we did a lot that day, the acquisition committee. We walked over and talked to Wendy. And so what we're going to do is the shows that we have in the City Gallery, we will also have representation of that in the museum. And the idea is to, I came and measured the walls and took photos of them to see exactly how much art we could fit in. And I want to start it out with the Amons having a show. And if, Richard, you're watching this, I haven't talked to you about it yet. But, and then I'm building everything actually around the OSA Mentor show because we've committed to that.
Oh, it's a scholarship show.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we figured also that having some invitationals for artists, some open shows will give more, and the opportunity maybe to have their pieces in the museum will make it, even though it's small here, but that maybe more of our artists will really want to be involved in the city gallery. So we're really excited to get that going.
That's great.
And then we talked to Wendy over at the museum at the same time about some publicity for all of this. So I'm kind of, if I can go over to my public
Please
relations.
do.
So I haven't had a meeting yet of the Public Relations Committee because my two other members were just basically voted on by City Council or approved. Since our last meeting, you guys weren't on my committee, so technically. So
I'm on your committee.
you're on Public Relations?
Here.
No.
Yeah, Stuart.
Linda, oh, I don't know why I thought Marcy was.
It's Stuart and
Perfect. Well, anyway, Linda and I met, and I'm sorry, and we were going,
Would have come.
we were going over the website. Well, we almost were going to do that, but you weren't technically, I didn't want to jump the gun.
Okay.
So we talked about the website, and we're working on a different type of calendar. The other thing that I do want to make function better is there used to be, from what I understand, an artist list on the website. There isn't anymore. It's basically art organizations on both things. You go to artist list, it's art organizations. You go to art organizations, it's art organizations. So we need to find if anybody has this list of artists. If not, I'll just start over from, oh, well, see, I've been out of town.
Sure emailed it.
Okay, good. So that'll be up on our website. We also talked about organizing us, and I don't know if this is quite public relations, but it is kind of admin. Amber was showed me our Google Drive. And the idea, everybody, and this does have a lot to do with public relations, so I did spend time on it, is that, Christine, you said you had documents from the mentor program. Well, the idea is that we want all this stuff to be on the Google Drive so that when we aren't public art commissioners anymore, nobody has to keep reinventing the committees. And as public relations committee, I want to be able to go into these different folders. If you go and visit a public artist and you take photos, you can upload it to that document, and therefore when I need to write a press release or Stuart needs to write one, we have all the data and the information that you need. So that's basically what's been going on.
I think Amber's suggestion that we have a demonstration of that Google Doc program
Yes.
and how to use it, if we could do that at our next meeting.
That would be
Oh,
put that on the
please,
agenda.
thank you. It's not like a microwave where they can take a picture of you, is it?
No, no.
Just checking. Just call me Kellyanne.
Yeah, no,
it-
nor is it a British intelligence agency that's been suborned. We needn't go there any further. Okay.
I have to say, too, the other great part about it is, after being on this commission for so long, I have so much on my computer that I would love to get off. Because every single image takes space. And this, we can put up on the Google Docs, it won't be lost, we'll all have access to it. I just think it's marvelous. And believe me, if I can do it, fine. It frees up your committee, unless you want to keep it on your computer, you can. But I prefer to put it on there, and then Christine and I, when we had our meeting, she showed me how to use it, and we actually moved some things, and I went through since then and moved a bunch more.
And I think it's fine if you want to keep the stuff on your computer, but I would like everything to be on Google Drive. I don't think that we should keep stuff where people can't see it.
I'm really in the dark. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean, all this stuff, all my stuff? What do you
May
want?
I?
Any of your press releases, yes,
Oh.
anything.
So the intention of utilizing, it's a cloud storage system, and we've chosen Google Documents because our IT specialist had the foresight when developing the original Arts Ojai website to create a business account when they used to be free. So you have lots of storage space. We have we're allowed up to 9 users, so that the documentation and anything that's developed by the commission lives in perpetuity beyond your service on the commission. And so everything has one boiling plate gathering spot for Arts Commission business and resources.
Those criteria for the Artist Lifetime Achievement Award, for example, that I read, I just happened, someone passed
that
on
could
that
go on there?
1990 document. Yeah, that should be on there.
What
under
about things like
Lifetime
the
Achievement.
public art contracts with artists? Would that be appropriate to go in there
Yes,
too?
yes,
So really, everything.
I
everything.
created folders for every committee, and then I kind of made it so that you could see if I had the information on publicity. I would do 2007, 2008, 2009. So the committee heads, or when you go into these folders, definitely identify them. No, and it'll take time. But the aim is maybe by next year at this time, we will be full on using this Google Drive and really having it as a resource.
And Christine, you're going to create the subjects, the captions for the folders, or we give you suggestions for what kind of folders we'd like to keep?
No, so the folders are, right now, they're by committee. So they are exactly Arts Grants Committee, City Gallery Committee, so they're by committee. In there,
Break them down from that?
you can go inside and break them down. I would suggest by years or by topic, maybe hanging suggestions, or like for public relations, I would definitely like to see press releases by year. But also keep a copy of the press release, for example, in the mentor folder. That way, when somebody goes to write a press release next year that we're looking for mentees, we don't have to go and rewrite it. All we need to do is change the dates. I mean, I don't like to spend a lot of time doing all this stuff.
And you can search each folder, too. So like if you put it 2016, you get to 2016 and you punch in mentor, it will come up. So,
This is where the,
It's a great system. I use it personally. I haven't plugged into this yet, but as a personal way to keep control of my own documents, it's great.
Yes.
Christine Golden, this would be a great place to create the archives folder.
Yes,
That's what I'm thinking, Marcy.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, bravo. Thank you, Christine, for this initiative. And Amber, I think we're going to move into the 21st century, whether we like it or not. Okay. I think we have only one more report. Oh, yes. Art grants. Yes, Christine, sorry.
I have nothing to report from art grants. I'm happy to have both Stuart and Marcy are going to join me on that committee, and at the appropriate time, Roger has promised that he'll pass along documents to me.
For the process.
And then you can put them in the Google Drive.
Yes.
And we can get them on the Google Drive. In fact, I probably have more documents than he has, because I was originally chair. I think I've been chair of every committee at some point.
Longevity has its price, yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, I think I think the only thing to say about grants is that we've had one inquiry already from an artist saying, how come there's no application form for 2017? When do we shift over so that there's a 2017 application form?
I think Roger told me it didn't happen until
I think
June.
it's in the summer sometime, yeah.
Yeah, which is why I haven't gotten
Right,
going on it,
right.
because I know
Well,
I had
that's
a little
appropriate,
leeway
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
but
And
it'll
at
happen
the-
on time, I
And at the
hope.
time that happens, that's when the news release will go out announcing it and so on and
Right.
so forth.
Right.
Okay,
you know, I was at the city council
Soon,
meeting.
but not too soon.
yeah.
I was at the city council meeting on last Tuesday, I think it was last Tuesday, it's a blur. And one of our previous awardees was there, Tony Hirsch and, now I can't remember her name.
Rebecca Comerford?
Yes, Rebecca Comerford spoke about their project, Youth Opera, and I was sitting there and I was going, why didn't they apply for a grant? Because they didn't apply this year.
That's right.
Youth Opera didn't?
No, did they?
No, you're right, they didn't.
And I don't
No.
know why they didn't.
I don't know.
They got a big grant from the Ojai Women's Fund.
Right.
Well, I know, but they could have had a matching grant. I mean, that's one of the ideas behind it. So I was surprised that they didn't, so maybe we could reach out to them again then.
I think so.
If I may, I apologize, Commissioner Tosher. According to the master calendar, the application is published in July.
For the grants?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it says here, revised grant app as needed in June.
Yeah,
So, and then in July, we publish it.
yeah.
So
And I
we've got a
think it's
little time.
appropriate too, with the grants, as with any of our other programs, it's entirely appropriate to reach out to people. In addition to our publicizing that there will be grants available, if someone talks with Rebecca, talk with her about applying for a grant. I think the more we can spread the word to artists that this sort of support is available, and that there is funding, that it's matching funding. We expect them to match it in some way. But I think that's just another way of keeping the art scene vibrant and getting new people involved as well. That's important.
Right, I see that, again, what Amber said, July, so I'm thinking that would be a good thing for your PR, to be sure that you're ready with something in the OVN.
That's a paragraph.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We have one remaining report, and that's on the architecture book, the Arts Ojai Education Committee.
Okay,
Bobby?
well, we're still rolling along. The good news is we are now finally in the writing stage. They expect to have the writing and editing done by June, mainly because our writer is going to have some surgery done during the summer and won't be available. So it's pushing the process, which is kind of a good thing. So they're working on that diligently, and we're working still on trying to pull together photography and all the pieces that go into it. So that's where we are.
And it's good news, especially because it means that if everything is in hand by June or even July, we can get it to a printer and have it available for sale and for celebration and for the launch party, whatever you want to call it, for the Christmas season. And I think that will be very, very helpful to the sales of the book. And this will, again, be something that we'll celebrate with the museum, because Mark Lewis, the president of the museum board, is the editor, and Craig Walker is historian associated with the museum. So it really is another representation of that linkage, which is real positive.
Very good.
All right, my friends.
Do this, or are we not doing that tonight?
No,
We're not, okay.
I think we are done. Amber, what do you have for us in your comments?
Well, clearly I didn't update the agenda from the last couple meetings because we've filled the commission vacancies.
Yes, and welcome to our two new commissioners.
Yes, welcome.
Marcy Tosher and Stuart Crowner.
And the budget as you see it, with a couple of adjustments, and I'll email that out to you. Make sure for the newer commissioners that haven't been through Brown Act training, that if you would like to, if I'm going to put out an email with a budget update, that if you want to make a comment about the budget and a recommendation, that you don't hit reply all. It's very important because that is talking about public funds essentially behind closed doors,
Which we cannot do.
which you can't do. It's a serial meeting. Sometimes it's just so you can respond directly back to me. You can respond directly to one commissioner, but don't hit reply all. It's just a poor practice. So and then I'll give you a quick Libby Bowl update. There's a free event this weekend in the Libby Bowl. It is an evening with the Condors. So they're going to recognize a trailblazer in science who worked on the film, and the Raptor Center will be out with some of their condors, and it's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
What day is that?
That is this Saturday. Should be fun, especially if you have grandkids or kids, and I will be around. And then we have Blue Oyster Cult coming up, and then followed by, who is that? And then we have the Robbie Krieger Band coming, and then I believe on the 8th. And so we've got a nice, robust season, and the Ojai Youth Opera will be in there on May 13th, which will be very exciting for their show of Brundabar. And then there will be the Ojai Centennial Pageant on April 7th, or on April 8th.
What is it?
7th, thank you. The Ojai Centennial Pageant, put on by the Ojai Performing Arts Theater. They'll be reenacting the handing over of the deed and historic costumes, and should be quite fun.
Yeah.
With the museum.
Can I make another request that when those things are on the calendar that I get copied?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'd like to call upon our other
I
commissioners.
think you skipped
Comments?
commissioner comments.
No,
Did you
I'm
skip
moving now
them?
to commissioner comments. Anybody have anything to add? Okay, Linda?
I really would like to have minutes. How long before we get our minutes?
A date
It's
has
so-
not been determined.
It is so important. I can't stress enough how important it is to have the minutes to look over for the next meeting. When we finally do get them, we're going to have to go back so far, we won't remember anything. And that means revising tapes. So I would really encourage the city council to make sure we have staffing for the minutes. Okay.
I second that. Any other commissioner comments? Yes, Christine?
Yes, I think that Chair Addison, you might want to talk about the booth that I believe you did procure for the museum picnic.
Thank you,
on
I forgot that. Yes,
April-
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's on the Saturday, the 8th of April. Yeah, the 7th is in the evening at 7:30, and on the 8th, the museum is sponsoring a picnic from 10 in the morning till 2. And we have the opportunity to have a booth. However, they want it to be interactive. And I'm not quite sure how we are going to do something that's interactive.
I know.
Good.
How about pennies?
Pennies for the lizard.
Yeah.
So we put a mock lizard
Well,
out and have,
maybe we can contact the artist and see if he can arrange to have that happen on that day.
thank you. Will you take care of that, please?
That would be awesome.
Thank you, Christine.
That's a great idea, too.
It is. That being this will be a way for us to also have informational material available about the Art Commission and,
She's looking confused.
No.
Oh,
No?
I thought you
Okay.
didn't know what it was. Maybe.
they're putting pennies on the
yeah, yeah.
So if we're at the museum, how would we put pennies on the lizard at the museum?
It's not,
It's happening
it's
at
going to
Libby
be in the
Park.
park, in Libby
Oh,
Park.
okay,
This is
okay,
in Libby
okay.
Park.
They ask you to come in
Okay.
costumes from the era, if you possibly can, and to bring a picnic basket lunch. It's like to recreate the old Ojai at a picnic at Libby Park. So it might be perfect.
Okay, well, Christine will lead the charge on that. Thank you, Christine.
Maybe they can bring antique pennies.
Right. Anything else? Then I would like to call on Councilmember Blatz, please. Thank you for being with us again.
Well, thank you. I really do love being the liaison to this commission. And welcome the new commissioners. You're with a select group for sure. I love it because every time I come to the meeting, you go through exactly all the things that you guys are doing and how important they really are to our community. The Mentor Project, the Lifetime Achievement Award, the public art, the grants. The whole gambit is discussed every meeting, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. And this will be the last time for a while that have the pleasure of attending your, because we move every quarter. So my assignment next quarter is the Park and Recreations Commission, which is fun too, but this is one of my favorites. This and historic preservation are really the two that I really enjoy.
Cool.
So I just can't thank you enough for all your hard work.
Well, thank
And
you.
I thought the 3 choices for the Lifetime Achievement Award, I don't know how you're going to make up your mind. I mean,
Exactly.
every one of them is deserving.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, and there's so many more in the community
Oh, yeah.
that are deserving, just to get it down to 3. But to try to boil that down to 1, how do you do it? It's really tough. It really is.
Good thing is they can stay on the list, though.
That's true.
Yes, that's
It's
right.
kind of like the grants.
Yeah.
I've sat through many meetings and you guys have had to, go through those grants and figure out who's going to get those. And that's just equally as tough because there's so many people that are deserving of them.
Yeah.
It really is. So I just want to say thank you for all your hard work. And we had a spirited debate on Tuesday night about leaf blowers again at the council meeting.
Yes.
And it wasn't resolved.
I was there.
Yeah, I know
Again.
you were. As was Lenny. The can was just kicked down the road again. So we'll be talking and seeing and having demonstrations once again, probably about it. But it's one of those hot button topics
Yeah.
that, it's been going on since 1998. So hopefully we'll get it resolved sometime.
In a 10-year period, that's
Yeah,
not
I
bad.
remember
Yeah.
it. These items that we have to get resolved. I remember when I was running for city council against Lenny Clafe, and we were talking about how long it took us to build the skateboard park, and Len said, it took us longer to build the skateboard park than it did the new Yankee Stadium, which was apropos at the time. And I understand we're getting lights now for the skateboard park.
Good.
I'm not exactly sure, where that stage is, but my understanding is that they have been approved and are at some point in the procurement method, so,
Great.
stage.
Are they going to be shaded?
They're going to be shaded, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I think they all have to be now, they have to put 90% of the light down with everything up, but anyway. So welcome, new commissioners. I'm really happy for both of you. And anybody have any questions of me? No? Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure the last 3 months. And I'll be back again in a year or so, I suppose. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Good meeting. Tuesday, what time?
Never mind.
3:30, 4, 4:30?
Well, 4 is better.
Okay, 4? Want to be at my house? Or
Sure, or we
Beacon?
could Beacon meet him. Beacon meet him.
Should we meet at Beacon?
What about the 22nd?
Coffee shop?